What's going on, everybody, and welcome back. We have another monthly prep. I cannot believe it's already February. I feel like January happened so fast, but here we are in February, and the narrative has shifted quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of crybaby tears from the ill-informed, those who were completely blindsided by what we have seen. Now, I know that those of you that are listening, you had an idea this was coming. I've been doing these videos on a night-to-night basis now for about, what, almost 3 months now, right? And we have been discussing the potential path that would lead us into something like this. And we have arrived, okay? So we'll go through all of that. Again, this is, it's going to have a little bit more of a, a take a deep breath, like April style stream. For those of you who are newer here, back in April when everybody was crying, we talked about it and said, take a deep breath. It's almost over. And it was over. Okay. So we're getting close. Relax. It's not the end of the world just yet. But that quarterly imbalance on NASDAQ is looming. So we'll talk about indices. We will talk about a couple individual names. And of course, if you guys have any, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll get to those. Also, we will talk about Bitcoin. Who would have ever thought Bitcoin would retrace into its yearly fair value gap and discount of the bullish range? I've been doing this for 30 years now, and I still can't make sense of it. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's crazy. Well, we'll also talk about the dollar. I have a nice tweet on the dollar as well. And then we'll talk about some of the metals because Friday, I mean, look, if you really look at it from like a wide lens perspective, I mean, you could very well say that Friday was a black swan event. Friday was a crash in the metals. So we'll take a look at those as well. But before we get into anything, please shoot a like on this video, shoot a share if you can. Please comment. Let me know what you think of these. I will be doing them much more frequently if the audience wants them. Okay? So I appreciate that. So now, first things first, as always. Now, I know this is a monthly prep, but it is also a weekly prep. So it is important first and foremost to go take a look at our economic data calendar, which is on Forex Factory. That's the one I use at least. You could use whatever. But I'm going to take a look, and I use this one just because it's easier. I can just filter out for USD because that's really all I care about. So let's come on over here. Let's turn on USD and apply the filter. Okay. So tomorrow at 10 a.m., we have ISM Manufacturing PMI. That is a red folder event. Essentially, the reason why I look at this is I'm not necessarily concerned with what that data point comes in at. I could not care less, and I couldn't even tell you what it would, what it's even forecasted to be. No idea, don't know, don't care. Not necessary in order to read price, just to be fair. Now, with that being said, knowing at what time the economic data comes through is very important because if you are caught blindsided, typically red folder data will bring increased volatility. And let's say you're hanging out in a position, maybe you're in profit, you get this volatile candle, it stops you out and then continues to go in your direction. So to me, it's absolutely necessary to know when this data is dropping so that you have an understanding of when that volatility is going to peak at around what time. Okay, so that's tomorrow at 10 a.m. Tuesday, we have JOLTS at 10 a.m., another red folder event. Wednesday, we have ADP non-farm employment change, which is a red folder event at 8:15. And then we have ISM services PMI at 10 a.m. Thursday, we have unemployment claims at 8:30. And Thursday of this week will be non-farm payroll eve. Okay, if you want, go back and watch the beginning clip of the January monthly prep, and you'll understand why that Thursday, the first Thursday of the month, is typically a no trade day for me. And if you go back to last year, you will also notice, I'm not last year. If you go back to last month, you'll see why. Go and back test that Thursday's price action during the day before non-farm payroll, and you'll get an understanding as to why price does not tend to deliver efficiently on that day. To me, the reason for it, we're just establishing pools of liquidity for the big event, which is Friday morning. We have non-farm payroll, which is a major red folder event. Lots of volatility that comes from that. But after non-farm payroll drops, it tends to be a pretty good day. So So that's this week's economic data. We are packed, which is great. Kicking off the second month of Q1 2026 here with a bunch of red folder data, which is excellent. So to me, at the moment, I mean, Thursday really looks like the only day where I'm not going to be all too interested in the markets. Now, now that we are kind of back in the swing of things with earnings, I think it's worth looking at as well. So let's take a look and see what the earnings calendar says, and then we'll, kind of get into it from there. So let's see. We have, no, this one right here. Okay. So tomorrow morning, whoa, we have Disney. Disney tomorrow morning. Okay. After close on Monday, we have Palantir and NXPI. I've seen that one surface quite a bit on FinTwit as well. That's Monday after close. Tuesday before market open, we have PayPal, Pepsi, Merck, Pfizer. Okay, a couple popular names there. After close on Tuesday, we have AMD, SMCI, Chipotle, Enphase. Yeah, so we're really right back in the swing of things here. Wednesday, we have Uber. Okay, Uber and Eli Lilly. We have Novo Nordisk. Those are a couple names that have popped off recently. Wednesday after close, we have Google, which is on its own planet. We'll pull that up as well. We could look at Google tonight, and we have ARM Holdings as well. That is a semi name. Qualcomm. Thursday we have ConocoPhillips in the morning, and then after close we have Amazon. So we're kind of completing. This will be our sixth of the Mag 7 with earnings this week. We're just missing out on NVIDIA, which tends to go later on in the month. And we have Iron, we have MicroStrategy, we have Roblox, we have Reddit. Oh my goodness, we have Affirm, we have Bloom Energy, we have Team. Geez, we're really packed this week, huh? And then on Friday we have really nothing that's worth noting. Maybe Toyota, but e-liquid. So, with all that being said, we have a very, very packed week. Now, before we continue, I want to take a quick second and give out two, prizes, if you will. So, in our group, Galaxy Trading, we have two new monthly awards that are going to be going out each month. And the first award goes to, the champion of the winner circle. Okay, so our, brag board, winner circle, it's where people post their success. And, I urge people to do that just so you could track your own progress. And this month, we have had, this is a really hard one. So we had a committee of 5. And the committee of 5 was completely neck and neck. We were 4-4 with one person to go. So, before I announce the winner, I just want to give a couple shout outs to a few people who clearly had amazing months, and, they should definitely be, at the very least, congratulated for their success. But there can only be one winner. Now, one thing that is necessary for this award is you got to be around for 3 months at least. You can't come in 1 month, be a 1 month winner, and then just be out. It's not how it works. This is a community. It's a community for a reason. We all go through the ups and downs together. So I want to give a couple honorable mentions for month 1, and I'm sure there's more, but these are the ones that were frequently on every single list that we had gone through. So the first honorable mention would be OJ. OJ, congratulations on a nice month. OJ is one who has shown a ton of growth since the beginning, and he really changed his mindset and has now reaped the benefits of that. So that was one. Another would be Hustle. Hustle's been a long time OG member of the crew, had another great month. Happy to see his progress as well. And then the final runner-up for the first month. Now, just because you don't win it 1 month doesn't mean you can't win it the next, but just because you win it 1 month does not mean you can't win it again, okay? We might get a little voter fatigue, like LeBron James status type of thing, but, you could still win again, okay? So the final runner-up here, and this person also had 2 first-place votes out of the 5, and this would be Luffy. So Luffy, you have Luffy's been part of the group for a while now. He really caught on quick. He does an amazing job. Is really good analysis on a day-to-day basis. But there was one trader who edged him out. And for month one, our prize is going to be some Galaxy merch. Now, here's the thing. With the Galaxy merch, you got to give me a little bit. I'm still designing some new stuff, but I will send you a shirt as a prize for winning month one. So, drum roll. The winner of January's Winner's Circle goes to Grayson. Grayson, congratulations. Congratulations, Grayson, on a great month. Grayson crushed it. He was in there every single day inside that winner's chat. Really happy to see that you've experienced some serious growth in just a short period of time as well. You've earned every bit of it. I'm happy that you were able to really show out for the first month. And the first month, I got to be honest, the price action really wasn't that great. So to perform as well as you did in a month where delivery wasn't as great as previous months have been, I think you should really give yourself some credit for that. That's a really good job. Now, Grayson also did a little math, and I'm pretty sure it was over 130K in wins for the month of January inside the winner's circle, so that was awesome too. But really, Grayson, awesome job. You earned every bit of it. And, I'm just joking, actually. You came in second place because the winner of the first month of the Galaxy Trading winner's circle is... It's me. Yes, it's me. Thank you. Thank you. Jeez. Relax with the applause, guys. I listen. It was an awesome month. We knocked Bitcoin out. We knocked dollar out. We knocked the S&P out. I get it. But I can't take all the credit here. We gotta kind of move this around and give it out to some other people. So, Grayson, obviously kidding, but you earned it. Congrats, man. And looking forward to another great month. Second award. This one's short and sweet, I promise. But this one goes to the most active Twitter follower. Okay. The most active Twitter follower by far, because we have a group of over 250 people, and I come out with 40 to 50 likes on a post, which is just absolutely ridiculous. The winner, and this was unanimous, undisputed champion, goes to Jake Lake, Seeker. Thank you very much, Seeker. I appreciate you supporting the content as always. This guy even made a TikTok to go and promote on TikTok. Great guy. So we're gonna have something for you as well. Again, give me some time. It takes a little bit of time. I want my stuff to look great, and of course my camera doesn't work right now, or else I'd show you one of our old hoodies. But we'll see what we got for month one. Maybe we'll build on it as the year goes along, or maybe second timers will get a cooler bit of merch. So yeah, the two winners tonight, Grayson and Seeker. Thank you again. Grayson, congratulations. And now you build off of it, right? This is step one. Now you just keep on building, keep on moving with it, because it only gets better from here, right? You're starting to finally break through, and once you break through, there's no going back, right? So that's with all of that, basic stuff that we had to go through. So, all right, so from a quarterly perspective, again, we still got 2 months left on this quarterly candle. Really not showing much. The only thing is something, and this is really a point of interest for me moving forward, is this quarterly imbalance here on NASDAQ. That quarterly imbalance starts at 23,904. This is definitely a point of interest for me moving forward, especially if market rolls the way that I think it could moving forward here. So from a monthly perspective, where would that 23,904 bring you? Essentially, that would be sweeping your November candle low. So by taking out last quarter's low and taking out that November candle's low, that would be essentially putting you into that quarterly imbalance. And I got to be honest, there's a lot of doom and gloom right now, but just to be fair, I really don't anticipate anything too dramatic to happen this year, or at least to start off this year. I think we can get into that quarterly imbalance, which might feel like the end of the world to many. We're about 1,500 points away from there right now. We've been there in November. I would not be surprised if we go see that liquidity taken, and then from that point we actually have a pretty good year following. So, very similar to what we saw last year with the rocky Q1, and then we built off that, and we really had a nice year. So, would not be surprised by that in the slightest. But now onto the weekly. So from a weekly perspective, you reject it out of that new week open gap or that volume imbalance from a weekly perspective. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. Okay. So you will notice that last week we did gap down. And from that gap down, we got into that gap. We actually reached way above that gap, but note where the body of the candle closed, right? Right at 50% or equilibrium of that bearish volume imbalance. Okay. Now, from this point, following this rejection, you will see that we gap down yet again this week. We have relative equal lows with last week's low. And then beyond that, we have relative equal lows from the low back in January 20th and December 15th. Okay. So there are a lot of relative equal lows and liquidity pools below. And remember, same thing would apply here. If we were to eventually get a quarterly imbalance, which again, I don't necessarily think that's going to happen overnight, but if we do start to gravitate down towards there, by us sweeping this low back in November, that would, put you in that quarterly imbalance and, kind of set you up for the rest of the year. So where we are right now, by sweeping that previous week's low, wouldn't really anticipate this giving you too much of a bounce. I would say, you could sweep this, maybe get into this newly formed bearish volume imbalance. And when you get into that newly formed bearish volume imbalance, I would anticipate a rejection again. Remember, wicks give you a heart attack, bodies tell you the story. So, again, it's essentially, that is that like manipulative move to go and chase liquidity prior to getting the real move that, happened last week as well. But again, those are the relative equal lows. You have one more daily imbalance inside of a daily bullish breaker. That's a little bit lower. That gets you down to what, 24,887. That, really would be the last line of defense prior to going and chasing into that quarterly imbalance. Very similar to what you see on Bitcoin. Very similarly to what you see on NASDAQ. The S&P and Dow. Okay. Now, from a 4-hour perspective, you will notice that we had a bearish price run by taking out these lows here from this high down to that low. That would be our bearish price run. Here's your retracement into a discounted bearish imbalance. There is your flush down through lows. That is the completion of your 4-hour Mando model here. We are inside of a previous 4-hour bullish breaker. Again, we left relative equal lows below. That is not really too encouraging, just to be fair. That is sus, right? Like the kids say these days. That's sus. Oh, yeah, it is. But note that by completing the Mando model the way that we did with that gap down and through, again, I posted that in my channel this weekend or on Thursday night. This is what we're working with in terms of our current 4-hour range. If you notice, there is no bearish imbalances here in discount of that bearish 4-hour range. That is, kind of leading me to believe that I'm not so sure that we have established our range just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if we do ultimately gravitate lower, stretch the range, put this new week open gap in discount of that bearish range, and then ultimately move from there. So no signs of any incline just yet. Okay. Last but not least, we'll touch on the hourly time frame. And again, you have your high down to your low. Here is your discount retracement into a bearish hourly imbalance. Look at the respect for the midpoint or equilibrium of this hourly bearish fair value gap here. There's your rejection. Back tap into another hourly bearish fair value gap, and ultimately a flush down through lows to complete the Mando model yet again. Here's that sell side and relative equal lows that I was referring to from a 4-hour perspective. This is what it looks like on an hourly, just kind of chilling, hanging out right there. So this is where we're currently at. Really nothing implying that we're necessarily moving higher just yet. What would be that, what would the market have to do in order for me to feel as though that there was a bounce to come? It would have to form an hourly imbalance to the upside. If we can get an hourly imbalance to the upside, at that point, my expectation would be discount of our newly formed range, which would look something like this. High down to wherever the new low might be. Okay. So that is NASDAQ's breakdown. Okay. So does anybody have any questions or anything like that? I want to get into Bitcoin. I want to get into dollar. I want to get into the metals. I also want to kind of walk you guys through, if you missed it, go back and watch it. But last week I did a little victory lap on our Showtime bearish imbalance discussion. We had been talking and targeting that level for quite some time on the daily NASDAQ time frame. Looks right here, right off of our Showtime. We had been talking about this for quite some time. You have people all over the place saying, I've been doing technical analysis for years and I cannot believe that we got this type of move. And I'm just going to show you how you can use what you saw here and what you've seen in essentially every single price run that has ever happened that has generated a discount retracement. It literally happens in every single one. And that's why when I see people saying that I've been doing this for 30 years and I don't understand why this happened, that is just an instant, you are no longer credible in my book check. That's kind of just the way I look at it. Sorry, but not really. But we're going to go through and just talk about, where that move came from, where that came about, and why it came about. Because nothing on here is by accident. Nothing is random. Everything can be back tested and proven. And we will absolutely do that. Okay. So if there's no questions about anything we just talked about there, let's rock and roll. Let me just take a quick peek at the chat here and see what's going on, what everybody's saying over here. So, okay. Whoa, okay, there's a lot of chats. Cool. Thank you guys for sharing. Yeah, if you haven't shared already, please do so. Please like this. Please comment on the main post. Appreciate that as always. Thank you, Augustus. Appreciate it, man. I'll follow you back at the end of this. I just didn't know where your Twitter was. I can definitely look at coin. I'm going to ask for, chart requests towards the end of this. I still got a lot I got to do to planned. Yeah, NVO looks good. Yes. Yeah, OJ crushed it. Very good. Yep. Hustle did awesome. Luffy as well. And yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm sure there's other people who did really well. Just a heads up. If you don't post it in there, I have no idea how well you're actually doing. But yeah, that chat was lit up this month. I love to see it. It was really good, especially because of the conditions and because, all the crying on Twitter and all that stuff. So, yep. Grayson's been around for a while now. That's true. Yeah, absolutely. I guess, you guys thought it was funny when I gave myself the award. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Seeker's a beast. I appreciate that as well. Let's see. Yeah, what's TikTok? What's TikTok is right. I had to use it for a little bit because I got access to the live studio there, and I was unsure if I really wanted to go gung ho on it. But I had to do X amount of lives in X amount of time, and I did it just so I have access to that if I ever wanted to do it. Rigged. It ain't rigged. Let's see. Let's have a good week is right. What's up, man? Yeah, no, you took very few, but you sent in a lot in there, so definitely earned it, man. All right, so next up, this is quite important that we take a look at this, and this is Bitcoin. Okay, so we're going to talk about Bitcoin again, and, just to be fair, I need a team. I need a team to go and bring up my old tweets and just post them on here and everything like that. It's just too much for me to do altogether. But just go to my page, click on my profile right now, scroll down a little bit. You're going to see it's actually the pinned tweet right now where numerous times dating back to early December, actually, we were talking about how Bitcoin was in the process of creating a yearly fair value gap. So let me pull this up really quickly and I'll show you. Here it is. So last year at this time, we were in the process of creating a yearly fair value gap on Bitcoin. To me, that is the ultimate draw. As you could see, the last time we got into a yearly fair value gap was back in 2022. Discount retracement into a bullish imbalance. Ready? Here's the Mando model just for the heathens and non-believers. Low up to your high. Here's your discount retracement into a bullish imbalance. There's your run through highs to complete the Mando model. And we are setting up for that yet again. And that is why I was talking about price getting to 70,876. Ultimately, my expectation is that price will continue to gravitate lower, get into your yearly fair value gap, and get into discount of that yearly range. Once we sweep last year's low, we could get a short-term intermediate bounce. I would prefer that not happen. I would prefer us to go to 70 and then start to make a move higher. But maybe that's just me. But from a quarterly perspective, again, you haven't taken out that quarterly low back from April, which is at 74,420.69. Are you kidding me? Is that real? 74,420.69. And you guys don't think this is manipulated. Come on. Incredible. Anyways, that quarterly imbalance lines up with your yearly. Discount of that quarterly is still inside of that quarterly imbalance. So that's pretty good. Come on over to the monthly time frame, and the monthly time frame was very, very telling. Okay, and I don't know why my chart looks like this. Maybe it's a different Bitcoin. Here it is. Okay, so again, we talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. I have this labeled Showtime. There's a very specific reason why I labeled this Showtime. We talked about it a little bit in the last live as well. But price got into that Showtime bearish imbalance and ultimately has rejected from that point and is gravitating down towards sell side. Now think about this logically. The only thing that would possibly or could possibly make sense from this point is that if price dries up into a bearish imbalance, and in this case, it would be a sell side imbalance and an inefficiency of buyers in this specific region. Mando, why do you say that? Well, the reason for this is because if we do not have wicks on either side of this candle, that means that price was not contested inside this specific range. If price is not contested inside of that specific range, that would lead to an imbalance in price. And if we do not get up and through an imbalance in price in one shot, what does that mean? We don't have enough juice. Where do we got to go find some juice? It's got to be at our next sell side target, which is here. This is where we engaged liquidity. And at this case, it would be 74,434. Okay? So following us sweeping that, again, you can get an intermediate bounce. There's potential for that. Again, I would prefer us to chase down lower first. Now, here's the $1 million question, and this is the question that everybody asks because nobody cares that I've been literally right about all of this for months and months and months. Okay, are we just going to get to 70 and then we're just going to like rip face? Like, dude, this is how you have to walk through this. You can't just talk in these like huge, like, okay, it's 70K. Just to be fair, I don't mind taking nibbles there. That's discount, right? If I have timed options contracts on that, I need more clarity. I need more confirmation, right? And at that point, what would that mean? I would need at the very least a daily imbalance to the upside form in order for me to feel confident that we've put our foot in the ground. And at the very least, we will gravitate to discount of that daily bearish range, okay? Now, let me just walk you through the weekly, and then we'll walk through that just again. But here it is from your low up to your high. Here's your first weekly bearish imbalance. Notice how there's no bearish imbalances overhead. Following the sweep of liquidity here, you have a bearish price run. Price gets up into not only this bearish weekly imbalance here, but also, again, that monthly that we talked about here before. Price rejects from that point. Ultimately, again, 74K, 420.69. Love it. So, at this point, to me, that's where we're gonna go. Okay, I've been saying this for 2 months now. Now, from a daily perspective, again, very similarly, there's a daily bearish imbalance here. Let me just close this out. Hold on. Get rid of some of these. There it is. There's your daily bearish imbalance. Price got in. Price rejects from this point and ultimately goes to chase liquidity much, much lower. Okay. Now, again, like I said, what is your new bearish daily range? It looks something like this. From your high down to your low. What was the price run to take out this low right here? After high down to your low. Discount retracement, bearish imbalance, flush down through lows. Mando model complete from a daily perspective. So far, your new daily range looks something like this. Is anything suggesting that this is necessarily our current range? And the answer to that is no. In order for me to feel confident or comfortable that our range is set, I need to see an imbalance in the opposing direction of that trend. And in this case, we're moving lower, so I would need to see an imbalance to the upside in order for me to feel comfortable that we are ultimately going to gravitate higher from this point. Now, you might say, well, Mando, there's, and I don't even know if probably not, but let's just say, oh, Mando, we formed an hourly bullish imbalance, which we didn't, but I'm just using this as an example. Oh, we formed and we left relative equal lows. But imagine, let's just for the purpose of, the information, let's just say we did form a bullish imbalance here. You might say, oh, well, we formed an hourly bullish imbalance. Great. Okay, so what would be your draw on liquidity from that point? What is your next higher time frame level? And in this case, you have a daily bearish imbalance that gets you up to 79K, 79,337 up to 81K, almost flat. So that would be the next daily imbalance. If you don't create an imbalance through that level, then ultimately you're looking like a rejection and just a range expansion lower. That's all. So that is Bitcoin. Nailed it. I've been tweeting about it all weekend. When these higher time frame victory laps come into play, I have to discuss them. It's just eating at me. I have to bring it up. So that is Bitcoin. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on Bitcoin or anything like that? Mostly analysis wise. No. Okay. So let me just pull this up one more time. Make sure. Okay, we're good. Um, yeah, I'll take some requests at the end. Let's just see how we're doing on time because we are running a little late right now. Yes, juice indeed. Uh, Coinbase numbers are garb. I don't know. Oh, you're talking about the spot pricing. It's been pretty accurate so far, man. Need a bully. Yeah, yeah, we do need a bully, and hopefully it's not me. All right, so that is Bitcoin. All right, so let's see. Let me just take a swig, and again, please like, please share. Appreciate it as always. We'll get into the dollar next. Okay, so let me come on over here. Wow, this might be a record for concurrent live viewers. Wow, that's pretty cool. Really cool. All right, anyways. All right, let's pull up the dollar here. And the dollar is another one that I tweeted quite some time ago. I was talking about, barring anything radical, the dollar is not really looking great. Okay. And, it's kind of where we're at right now. So, um, let me pull this up and let me do that. Okay, great. Yeah. So, the dollar, right? We'll look at it from the top down and we'll make our way. But I think there's two specific levels that are extremely noteworthy at this point. And while we are still holding on to a yearly bullish imbalance, it's really important to note we rejected out of a previous BPR, which is a bearish imbalance that came through a previous bullish level. But also from this point, you have relative equal lows that get you down to 89.20. Okay, very very suspect. Why are relative equal lows suspect? The reason why we are suspect over relative equal lows is because that is essentially two pools of liquidity, right? And if this market is driven by money, right, or liquidity, right, interchangeable word, then you would anticipate levels that have multiple pools of liquidity are going to be targeted to kind of free up money, make things move a little bit quicker as a result of that, right? And an example of that you could use is like a penny stock, right? You never hear anybody getting arrested for pumping and dumping Tesla, but they do on penny stocks. Why is that? And the reason for that, simply put, in my opinion, is on Tesla's chart, the necessary amount of liquidity to move price is already on that chart, whereas on a penny stock, the necessary amount of liquidity is external. It's outside of that chart. It's outside of the marketplace. So when that comes in, it could start to move price as a result of that. So, but from a dollar's perspective, you got relative equal lows down there. It's very suspect. Okay. Come on over to the quarterly time frame. Again, we got into a quarterly bearish imbalance. This would be our showtime quarterly imbalance. I don't know if I have this labeled. No, it's the final bearish imbalance inside of that price run. Price got in, ultimately rejected thus far. We swept quarterly lows right here with this move. Again, nothing's really necessarily implying that we need to go higher from this point just yet. From a monthly perspective, okay, we rejected out of a a monthly bearish breaker. Okay, there's your liquidity sweep. There's your breaker. High, low, higher high, break down and through, and we would anticipate the low of that sequence to act as a resistance level moving forward. So there's your turtle soup sweep. There's your rejection down through those lows. We tag a monthly imbalance. So far, we've bounced a little bit. We close off the potential of a newly formed bearish imbalance at 97.71. So we're not all that far off there. But again, that higher time frame picture does not really look too pretty for the dollar. Okay, you'll notice, and I hate to use this term because some people use it and they just don't really know what they're talking about, but the megaphone pattern, right? Essentially what you're doing in this case is you are expanding range by taking liquidity, bang, rejecting, taking liquidity, bang, flip, taking liquidity, flip, taking liquidity. So what you're doing essentially is you're just building a ton of liquidity by doing this. And now from a weekly perspective, you have a bearish weekly imbalance right here. Price is not quite in it just yet, but that is a big pivot to take out. If you could take this out, then I think you can go chase liquidity higher, which would ultimately get you to 190. And if that's the case, if you were to see dollar rallying in a perfect world, there is a negative correlation between indices and dollar, right? If you have a strong dollar, you would anticipate that indices would probably take a little bit of a breather or a trace, right? And vice versa. If indices are ripping, you will notice that the dollar tends to be weaker. And again, as you could see by the demise of the dollar since the start of last year and how indices had moved last year. So that's where I'm currently at on the dollar. Big pivot coming up. This could tell you a lot moving forward, believe it or not. So that is dollar. Okay. This is going to be the last one for me, and then again, if you guys want to start getting a head start on it, feel free to just post in any requests that you might have. You can post them in the chat. I'll get through as many as I possibly can without spending my whole life on here doing them all. So we'll see. We'll do the first bunch of them that come in, and then after that, we'll call it quits. If you put yours higher, please just bring it up again. Just because I don't want to miss any, and I don't really want to have to scroll higher. So. But let's look at gold and silver. We'll do this quickly. And like I said, to kind of lead off the call, I mean, the move from last week or last Friday, I should say, in itself, terrifying, right? That's like, Black Swan X, it's like that is dangerous what happened. A lot of people lost a lot of money on Friday as a result of this. Now, this is tricky, and you might notice sometimes you guys will bring up some names, and the names that you bring up are like at all-time highs or well above all-time highs. And you'll hear me like immediately say, this is not something for me. The reason why this is not something for me is because I don't necessarily have a draw on liquidity. And what I mean by that is we've never been up there. There's no resting orders that we are targeting other than our previous all-time highs. And at this point, I do not necessarily know where our top is going to be placed. Now, if you have a situation like you had with NASDAQ where I was talking about showtime and me, anticipating rejection from that point, why did I feel so comfortable talking about that? And that's simply just because you had an imbalance there, right? We're not trading at all-time highs at this time, right? You have this showtime bearish imbalance, bing, bong, right? We don't have that on gold. We don't have that on silver. So, when we're up that far in premium beyond all-time highs, I tend to avoid looking at those names. I tend to not really want to be involved. Now, you might say, well, Mando, why wouldn't you look short in that scenario? Now, you could, but I don't think they even gave you an opportunity, really. Let's just take a look. Now, you really didn't get much an opportunity to short something like this either, right? Or, I guess, technically you did, but it doesn't really meet the criteria for any of my trading models. Here's why. What is the first thing that I would wait for to imply a discount retracement here? What I would need to have essentially is an imbalance to the downside, and once that imbalance to the downside forms, then at that point I would feel comfortable with ultimately looking for a short to get us down into discount. But here's the catch: gold just shit the bed the way that it did, and we're already in discount, so I got to be honest. I'm a little I gotta be honest, like I'm not necessarily looking short on gold or silver or anything like that at this point. We've hit discount. Now, could we shift structure? Sure. But we've barely even formed a daily imbalance. We haven't formed anything on a weekly or a monthly. And if that were to form, then to me, that gives you a bigger picture idea as to where price is drawing towards, which would in this case be much, much lower. And if that's the case, that's fine. But I want to allow this to confirm it for me. And why do I say this will conform it for me when you have that first imbalance to the downside? And that's just simply because if you go back historically and you look at every time that we've had a bear market or a stock market crash or something like that, basically we've had one thing in common every single time. And that one thing in common was the formation of a higher time frame bearish imbalance. And in this case, we'll look at it from a monthly. So if you go all the way back to 2000, price created a bearish imbalance here. Price ultimately got in and ultimately rejected from that point. Okay, that's our first example of it. Now, how about 2008? Monthly imbalance. Price creates a monthly imbalance. Price gets into it. Price rejects. So to me, both 2000, right? The dot-com bubble, this, that. 2008, the great financial reset. Both of those, the writing was on the wall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months in advance, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months in advance. So when you look at things from this higher time frame, everything that's occurring on the smaller time frame, it might feel like so much going on in that like short period of time. But in the grand scheme of things, this is building into something that is much, much bigger, something that's happening that is much, much bigger. So the same thing would apply for COVID as well. Again, I'm just showing you guys examples, but here's your, I'm sorry. Let's do 2018 first. So in 2018, you had a monthly imbalance. What did that do? That brought you into discount of this bullish range. It got you into a monthly bullish imbalance and then ultimately ran you through your highs to complete the Mando model. Now from this point, again, COVID, you have your low up to your high. COVID, here's your bearish volume imbalance to quickly get you down into that discounted bullish imbalance for your slingshot up and through to complete the Mando model yet again. That would be something that's more interesting to me, in this gold and silver perspective. We got down into discount so fast, and I'm going to show you another example of that as we get into April of last year. Now, these are the worst because this is what I would really consider a bear market. There's a monthly imbalance like we referred to in both 2000 and 2008 and 2018. There's your monthly imbalance. Price gets into that monthly imbalance and ultimately rejects from that point, bringing you down into a discounted bullish imbalance. And then guess what, guys? We got into that monthly bullish imbalance. We swept liquidity, and then we ran through highs to complete the Mando model. Oh my gosh, why does it keep doing that move? Why does it keep doing that move? I don't know. Why do you think? Why do you think my model is this? Because it happens all the time, obviously. Anyways, but then the same thing would apply back here in April, right? What did this do? All this did for you, right? We created the bullish breaker here. Here is your low up to your high. Here is your discount retracement into not only a bullish imbalance, but also a monthly bullish breaker. Price gets into your monthly bullish imbalance, a monthly bullish breaker, runs through highs to complete the Mando model again. Am I really trying to reinvent the wheel here? No, there's no need for me to do that. Why would I try and reinvent the wheel when historically price has shown me one thing in common, one thing that has happened every single time when we got this higher time frame retracement, and that would simply be a bearish imbalance to the downside from a monthly perspective. Until that happens, everything that's happening on a smaller time frame basis, yeah, we're going to be going down for a little bit. You could have some weeks that are rough. You might have even a month that's pretty rough. But ultimately, until that monthly forms, I'm not looking for anything that's like outstanding or like outrageous or crazy or anything like that. I don't feel like there's a need to, because again, I'm going to allow historical price data to show me what happens when we form that monthly imbalance. That's all. So, and again, monthly imbalance. What happened on Bitcoin, guys? I've been doing this for 30 years, and I cannot believe that this happened on Bitcoin. This makes no sense. Really, bro? Really? Try a little harder to get some good engagement because you clearly have no idea what you're doing. Monthly imbalance, rejection, discount. Okay? So, on to the next. Whew. Got it? So both gold and silver, despite absolutely getting smoked, believe it or not, that crash brings you down into a discounted imbalance. That's it. So the next step really is like, do we form a daily bearish imbalance? Do we form a weekly bearish imbalance? Do we form a monthly bearish imbalance? And it's going to happen one by one. You're going to form a daily imbalance. If you form that daily imbalance, you might get into that daily imbalance and reject from that point, which would ultimately lead you to creating a weekly imbalance. And then maybe you create that weekly imbalance and price ultimately gravitates into that weekly imbalance and you reject, and that sets you up for the creation of a monthly bearish imbalance. And then that monthly bearish imbalance forms, and then you get into that monthly bearish imbalance. And if you haven't gotten down into discount yet, what's going to happen? We're going to go low. We're going to reject from that point. We're going to continue to gather liquidity until we get to discount of the range, because from discount of the range, what happens next? Yoink. Going to see the greatest reversal of all time. Almost there. Take a deep breath. Okay. So, I'm done. So you guys got requests. If you got some requests, please send them in. If you're new here, welcome. Send in some requests, share the stream, like the stream, let me know what's going on. It's so weird. It right now it says we have more live viewers than we have views on the post itself. Pretty crazy. Doesn't really make much sense, but here we are. So, let's see. I'm just pulling up the chat really quickly. Sure. All right. So again, if you posted it way up above, just do it again, please, because there was a lot of chats in between. But oh, Bay Trader made his way into the chat. Nice. What's going on, man? All right. Let's see. Let's take a look. Ethereum first. Sure. Let's look at Ethereum. So, from a monthly perspective, probably very similar to what you have on Bitcoin. Okay. So Ethereum, very similarly to what you have on Bitcoin, you are getting closer, right? On Ethereum, you have a monthly imbalance here that starts at 21,116. I would anticipate ultimately price going there. We talked about this one a bunch as well. And then again, from your quarterly perspective, this is what's scary about the quarterly on Ethereum. From your lows of COVID up to your highs back in 2021, you got your monthly imbalance into a discounted bullish imbalance. From this point, you ultimately ran through those highs to complete the Mando model. Now, from where we are currently, okay, we don't have any quarterly imbalance. Our last chance or our showtime imbalance in this case on Ethereum would be here. That's really our last chance. If you go through this, sure, you can bounce again, but that's going to shift all-time structure bearish on your monthly time frame, which is pretty scary. So ultimately, I believe that Ethereum will reject from this point, gravitate towards this showtime imbalance here, and then from there, like I said, that is a major, major spot that you'd really want to see it catch from, and that would be turtle souping here on the weekly time frame as well, as you've already slipped up. So you had the bullish imbalance. Here's the reaction to the bullish imbalance. Again, you had no higher time frame context. You know, that's kind of why you would putter out the way that we did, but there's your rejection from that point, and then this is what we're currently working with. So I think 21,113 is the draw on liquidity, very similar to Bitcoin with 70. It's getting pretty close. So that is Ethereum. Next up, we have QUBT. QUBT. All right. So on QUBT right now, okay, so you take out this high here with this price run from your lows up to your high. Now I have to say, there's one thing about this that really is not sitting too well with me, and that's that massive, massive split here. Usually when stuff splits, it just kind of messes up the numbers a little bit. That's all. Just because it's like a change in share structure. So like QUBT was never actually at $39, right? It's just artificial based on the split. So it's just worth noting. It's not the end of the world, but I usually refrain from trading these when they have that wacky share structure. But from a quarterly perspective, you have a quarterly imbalance here at 437. Honestly, as an outsider, that's where I would. That's the only place I'd be looking. Now, from a monthly perspective, you can justify a move from this point. Now, what's it going to take from here? We did get into a monthly imbalance. True, fair. From this point, really, what I would want is, at the very least, I would want a daily bullish imbalance to form to the upside. If that forms, that's a good sign. That's showing you urgency and willingness to go higher. Without that, you're kind of cooked. You need urgency to go higher. So from this point, monthly, it really has to catch. We swept previous quarter's low, which is good. But again, we have that quarterly imbalance below us. I think that would make me feel much more comfortable. But from a weekly perspective, you got into a bullish volume imbalance here. First attempt inside of that, you caught, you bounced a little bit, you ran into a bearish volume imbalance there, you rejected from that point. Now, ultimately, you're dealing with this, okay? And you close below this low, which is not ideal. Now again, like I said, we did get into a higher time frame point of interest, but until a daily imbalance forms here, I'm not going to be really all too interested. There's nothing really implying necessarily that a low has been placed. Closing below this, or from a daily perspective, we close above that, which is pretty good. We did sweep liquidity. You could see a move up into here. Now this is going to have to ultimately shift structure to the upside for me to feel completely comfortable that this starts to make progress higher. But at the moment, I'm not too interested here. And yeah, just on the split, I mean, look, you can look at a bunch of different charts that have split historically, and you're gonna notice it's like, oh man, like why did the second move, like it had a lot of momentum and it really was running hot, and then it just kind of hit a brick wall. And it's just basically because when they alter the share structure the way that they do with the splits, it's like now you just need that much more juice, and you've really never gotten to that price that's on TradingView, right? It's kind of deceptive. You look at it and you're like, oh my god, this stock was at $1,000 at one point. No way. It's like, no, it actually wasn't. It just split 17 times, so it's going to affect the range. And that's why, you could still look towards low hanging fruit objectives, like buy side sell side targets on those, but I usually don't have high hopes on names that have split unless they split back. If you split black, that's great, now you're back even. But um, usually it would have to take a lot for that company to shift structure back. And I don't know if I've really seen too many historically that have and I'm not talking about a I'm talking about reverse splits. I'm sorry, I should have prefaced it with that. Like, I'm not talking about regular splits like Tesla, Amazon, like those are good splits. Good companies do the big number first in terms of the split. Bad companies do the lower number first. So like, for example, like a 1 for 100 or a 1 for 10 or something like that. You know what I mean? Um, you know, it you would want it really the other way. So I'll show you again. Example. Go over to Tesla. Tesla, oops, there's your 3-to-1 split, right? Good companies do big number first, and then other companies that I don't really trust very much do 1 for 200 split. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of just the way that I look at it. Um, so yeah, that is QUBT. Now I'd feel much more comfortable, obviously, with a quarterly retracement. That's way far away, but I think you could justify a move from where we are currently. It's just, to me, it's got to show me some urgency higher. It's got to give me a daily imbalance, give me something to work with, just in case I am wrong. At least I have that imbalance. I have a well mapped out trade in advance. Um, so yeah, that is QUBT. Next up, FIS yearly. I think we get a sweep into yearly. Nice. All right, and then we'll do hype after. Hype was great, man. You nailed that one. All right, let's do FIS. Fidelity. Okay, so Fidelity is actually rejecting out of that yearly imbalance. So, in doing so, by rejecting this yearly imbalance, what is that telling you? We did not have the necessary amount of liquidity to go up and through this yearly imbalance in one shot. What does that mean? To me, that would mean that we got to go see sell side, which is at 46.91. I think ultimately that would make a lot of sense. Sweep these lows, gather that liquidity, and kind of set you up for what could potentially be a breaker somewhere way down the road. So I would be much more interested in this somewhere in this vicinity in this yearly imbalance, and I'll set an alert, and I'll reference this call, Feb monthly prep, uh, 26. It's a yearly setup. It might take a lot of time. So that's Fidelity, and then hype. So this one's really new. So let's just do it from the monthly down, right? So I forget what it was again. Hype USD or something like that. Hype USDT. Is it not on Coinbase? I'll just use KuCoin, I guess. Yes. Oh no, this is not it. Is it? Wasn't it just at $18 when we talked about it last? SR, get back to me. We'll come back to this one, but NVO Euro. Um, I'll do NVL. I don't know about the Euro. Let's see. Um, yeah, I actually like this one. So we close the month with the turtle soup. Okay, so really, what I would want to see is a monthly imbalance form from this point. So as long as price in February doesn't see 53.70, that'll create a monthly bullish imbalance. That's really good. I would also like to see us close above 62.32. By us not closing above this, we haven't created that breaker yet, which is a little sketchy, just to be honest. Come on over here to the weekly time frame as well. There it is again. No close above this high to create the breaker. Sus. Okay. Now from this point, we have a weekly bullish imbalance here at 56.29. I'd want price to ultimately gravitate in there and catch and start moving higher from this point. We're going to need to shift structure if we're going to make this move to ultimately start putting in some work here on the monthly time frame. But from a higher time frame perspective, I think it looks pretty good. I just really want to see us respect that weekly imbalance that is coming up here shortly. Hymns, yearly hymns. Okay. Yeah. So Him's yearly fair value gap's coming at 23.96. I actually have two friends who, they might even actually be listening right now. What did I tell you about Hims? What did I tell you about Hims? Why are you getting all, oh, yeah, look, we bounced, we went up. No, we didn't. We're down to $27. When you have that yearly in discount, why are you chasing? You're just asking for problems, man. I don't know. I said it, and then it went up one day after I said it's ultimately going to gravitate down towards here. The tweet's there. Just type it in at Mando Trading with the $ hymns. Go back and look for it. It's there. But and then I got a week later it went up a little bit, and then it's like, oh wow, I told you so, Mando. Oh, did you really? Really? Yeah, that was at about like $55, $60. Where are we now, buddy? Yeah. Yep, don't fade. Don't fade unless you like losing. But yeah, Hims is great. Hims yearly imbalance coming up. Let's see what it overlaps with though. I don't know if it's got too much other than that yearly. Um, Pretty scary. There's a volume imbalance here. Yeah, there's really not much. We didn't really form any like smaller time frame levels other than that yearly. Yeah, well, we have a monthly imbalance there. Yeah, so basically, I just would not want Hims to go below $18 if I'm looking at that yearly sweep. Like below 18, I think you're cooked at the very least till like $10, which is really terrible. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on Hims. I think it's got a little bit. I think it'll go to the yearly imbalance there, which is again we're not really not far off, but wow, over 1,000 viewers, awesome. All right, Coinbase. Yeah, sorry, man. Like I said, like I just want to make sure that they're posted up there. So again, just so I don't miss them. But all right, so Coinbase all time, you shifted market structure bullish here, right? By taking out this high here, you complete, or I'm sorry, you shift structure. So like this to me is what I call graduation, right? A lot of new companies off IPO, they make this long drawn out move lower. Some of them get up into here and reject. Good companies, ones that are stick around, they tend to sweep those highs and create a bullish structure. That's kind of what you're dealing with right now. So on Coinbase, I honestly 142.58 would not really shock me too bad. Very similarly to MSTR, where MSTR, I think, yeah, I put this one out a long, long time ago. Just to be fair, I said, could you imagine MSTR going to $100? Somebody get that tweet from me. Just do at Mando Trading with the $MSTR. Um, but that would be totally, totally insane. And that's where I think it's going ultimately. So, um, just quickly, let me just check the yearly on Coinbase. I don't even know what Coinbase is at in the overnight session, to be honest, because Bitcoin had such a rough day yesterday. Did we sweep this low? Yeah, we did. Okay, that's good. We did. We swept that low there, which is solid. But we're kind of in no man's land right now from like a yearly, or even really from a quarterly perspective per se. So I do see that there's no imbalances to our left. I do see some sell side liquidity inside of this previously bearish monthly or quarterly imbalance. That would be ultimately where I would anticipate price drawing towards. We might even be pretty close to that in the overnight session. I haven't looked, but You know, I actually wouldn't really be too surprised with Bitcoin dropping as bad as it did yesterday. But yeah, yeah. So I have a post from 12/13. I'll retweet it right now. But 12/13, I said $100 inbound MSTR. So I've been on this one for a while as well. Um, so that's Coinbase. Not really looking so great right now. Netflix is a little bit tricky, and I'll explain to you why. So Netflix took out quarterly lows in discount of this bullish price run dating back to October of 2023, which is good. I'm just a little concerned with the possibility of us wicking 70. This is another one that I tweeted about recently. You can just type in at Mando Trading with the $ Netflix, and you'll see it was when we were up here, and I was like, 82 is calling. Like, would they dare wick us at $70 to get into the quarterly breaker? Um, and that's what I'm a little skeptical on. But I got to be honest. You now have Netflix in discount. You now have Apple in discount. You have Microsoft in discount. The only couple that you're missing right now is Amazon's still not discounted, Google's not discounted, Nvidia's not discounted, and Tesla's not discounted. So there's a little disconnect. Like, are we gonna see maybe some of these outperform the others that have yet to get the discount first, and kind of slowly, methodically work our way down, or are we gonna see this kind of be sharp across the board and drive price lower a little bit here on Netflix as well? Nothing is really implying on Netflix that we need to go higher just yet either, because again, what I'm waiting for really is just the formation of a daily imbalance, and until that daily imbalance forms, I'm not really looking for anything too crazy on Netflix. So we swept the low, but we have not again shown any urgency higher whatsoever. So let me just see from the daily and make sure of that. But yeah, so still no daily imbalance to the upside. We're still range expansion right now. That's kind of what we're working with there on Netflix. Now let me just see one thing. Um, I'll do a couple more too. Yeah, okay. So early January, I tweeted 82 monthly lows sticking out like a sore thumb. Wouldn't dare to wick 70 for us, would it? Approaching deep discount territory. So discounted on your higher time frames. It is a pretty large level. Like 70 still doesn't technically blow up that higher time frame setup, but yeah, it's a pretty big range. So um, AMD. All right, AMD. AMD left behind some terrible, terrible lows, and that was before we even rushed and left relative equal highs like perfectly here. Um, we left these terrible lows and discount of the ranges at 194.28. I was actually wrong on this one a couple weeks ago when we talked about it. We were talking about it was right around this vicinity here, and we're like, yo, I'm super sussed out about these lows, and then you get that final push higher. Don't take liquidity, but leave behind these lows. It's like, I don't really think these lows are safe whatsoever. It's a little sketchy to me. So, um, and at this point, really, you prevented a weekly imbalance from forming. You don't really have any imbalances. You have a couple volume imbalances: candle close, candle open, and then you have candle close, candle open. So you got a couple levels in between, but those relative equal lows at 194 are really sus. But beyond that, I that honestly to me, I like that area. So and then last but not least for um Denzel here is A-Lab. A-Lab got up into its monthly bearish volume imbalance. So candle closed, candle open. That's a volume imbalance. We close down, price wicks back into it, rejects from this point. To me, I think A-Lab's got a date with 123.91. So I've had this alert on for quite some time now. Um, Before I edit it, let's just see how long ago I put that. Um, okay, yeah. Let's see. A-Lab. So I put this alert on A-Lab, not too long ago, December 23rd. So this was the last time we talked about it. I have to edit it now, but it's okay. It's all recorded. So Let's do February monthly prep, just so we know we can come back to this and reference this when it gets there. So that's a lab. All right, let's go. Let's keep going here. Hopefully, there's not too many because kind of had enough. Um, all right, good. Not too many. NBIS. All right, let's do NBIS. Yeah, NBIS and Iron were both in this same situation here. We started off the month so hot. I'm like, bro, you couldn't have just gone into here for me. I tweeted about this one back in at the end of December. I'm like, yo, this is kind of setting up to be a great setup. And then we took off to start the month, but I didn't bite. I didn't take the bait because we didn't get down into my discounted monthly or quarterly level. So I think ultimately that's where we're going to gravitate towards 75.18. I think that would make a whole lot of sense there on NBIS. And Iron, like I said before, similarly, Iron again took off, right? I want Iron actually quite a bit lower, but I think this is a pretty good setup moving forward beyond that. So um, Neo. Oh, I hate this one. You really had to bring up Neo. It's all right. So Neo has a sliver of a quarterly imbalance, but it also has some pretty bad relative equal lows. It's really got to catch at this point. Failure to catch inside of this month quarterly imbalance, I think it's in big trouble. Um, come on over to the monthly. Neo, we're currently, did we wick into the final weekly bullish imbalance here? Whoops, there it is. Final weekly bullish imbalance. We didn't quite get into there. This is like last chance. 437 uh, to 392. I think it really needs to catch here. And if we can catch here and we could start moving higher, your next level to beat would be the newly formed weekly bearish fair value gap that gets you here. Okay. And as you can see, price swept liquidity here at 771. Retraced imbalance. Here's your discount. This is really the spot it's got to catch on Neo, in my opinion. So that's Neo. Here's Uber. Okay, Uber. Oh, dude, I have a cool Uber one. So last year Uber was just gone. I remember talking about Uber last year. I'm like, the only place that I would want it would be here. And I wrote Tesla buys Uber here. Now I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen, but we're really not working with too many imbalances here. This is an inverse. Okay, we're rejecting out of it thus far. We have relative equal lows here, and ultimately discount bullish imbalance, and this also would align with the yearly imbalance that gets you down to $55 or $57. I think that would be the ultimate location for Uber. To be fair, I would love to get an opportunity at that there. Last but not least, Baidu. Baidu reaching for some highs. Some of the Chinese names don't look too bad at all. Did leave behind relative equal lows. Not really the end of the world. I would have preferred us to get into this monthly imbalance, but again, not the end of the world thus far. Look left. There's no real imbalances to our left. It's just about really closing this quarterly above 160.88. If you could do that, you're in good shape. Um, where is it? Baidu. Okay, here's Baidu. So we closed the month turtle souping that high. That's really not the most ideal situation. You do have a bullish volume imbalance here. It would be important that if you did gravitate towards this bullish volume imbalance, that you would wick into it and then respond from that point. Failure to do so, you could actually order block this candle and then be going to chase much lower, which would really suck. Um, Tesla, yeah, simple enough on Tesla. I mean, I'm a big Tesla guy. I have a lot of Tesla, so obviously I want this to go higher. But to be fair, this monthly low at like 383 lines up with a quarterly low, uh, quarterly bullish imbalance. That quarterly bullish imbalance is not quite discounted. So I'm not totally sold that Tesla, nothing's really implying that we need to go down just yet on Tesla. Um, but this low is kind of sticking out like a sore thumb, just to be fair. We have a bearish weekly imbalance overhead. We have a bearish volume imbalance overhead. Um, yeah, I'm honestly like, I don't anticipate it going much lower than this 383. That monthly and quarterly imbalance. I would be totally stumped if it did, um, but I am expecting some weakness, so I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. No problem there, man. Hype HUSD. All right, let's see. Hype HUSD. Oh, come on. USD. All right. Yeah, so SR brought this one up last week. Absolute rocket of a move. Prevented a monthly imbalance. That's great. You look left, there are no monthly imbalances in your way. We're inside of a monthly bullish imbalance and inside of a monthly bullish breaker. Kind of crazy that this one looks decent and the rest of crypto. I mean, it's getting close. That's the thing. Like, I don't really think we're that far off. Um, Created a weekly bullish, or no, I'm sorry, it didn't. All right, so I would want this to form a weekly bullish imbalance, and then I'd want us to come and back tap into this weekly breaker. I think that gives you the best structure for the trade. It'd be like risking $5 for a potential huge win. So I'm sure you're on the same page as me there, though. Um, last one for the night. All right, fine. I'll do UNH, Jeff. You're lucky I like you, Jeff. All right, a UMAC. Whoa. UMAC got into a discounted bullish imbalance. Check. Bounced. Solid. Oh my gosh. Got into the monthly bearish volume imbalance. Candle open. Or I'm sorry. Candle closed. Candle open. Bearish volume imbalance. Price wicked in and rejected pretty sharp. You really do not want to see this bearish order block. You really want to see next month close above 1310. Failure to do so, you create a bearish order block, and that could even imply some like really scary stuff. So that would be really important there. Let's see if there's any like smaller time frame stuff going on. Okay, you have a couple bullish levels in between with last week's close. That's pretty good. This is your current weekly range inside of the bigger picture. So yeah, you're kind of you have two bullish imbalances in discount here. The one that we're currently in, and then another one down to like $11. Again, I really wouldn't want this to close next month below that the previous month's open. All right, UNH, last one for the night, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I was laughed at. Everybody wanted to, get, they want to try and get the jabs in on me. You know how it goes. But they're all going to be losers, and I cannot wait to absolutely destroy them when I get my number on UNH. So UNH rejecting out of a monthly bearish imbalance here, not good. As you can see, I have a pretty lofty target on this, and it's always crazy until it happens. But uh, yeah, UNH is kind of, I think there's one more level that it can catch from here. This is the last level that really it can catch from. I'm really not too optimistic about this, though. That low is kind of sticking out like a sore thumb to me. And the rejection out of the monthly without creating a monthly higher, very, very sketchy. So I actually would not be surprised to see UNH with a much deeper sweeper here. And that's my alert. I set that alert all the way back in July 28th. And I tweeted about it back then too. Uh, I'm really not too optimistic about this. Um, so yeah, that's UNH. So I think that might be it for me tonight. So let's just take a quick peek and see where we're at right now. I went way longer tonight than I usually do on the monthly prep. Or monthly prep's pretty long. Weekly prep I usually don't go too long on. But all right, we got relative equal lows down here on NASDAQ, like 365. Use this as an example of relative equal lows. Same thing happened to end out last week. Relative equal lows, price gaps down through it. What was the message that I had posted on Thursday night? I was like, let's chase Thursday lows. Following chasing Thursday lows, let's gap down to start the month. Here it is. Hold on. Let me just pull it up. I'll read it verbatim. Run lows. I said tomorrow. Sorry, one day off. Run lows, gap down to start the month, reach into monthly mid February, and then we ride higher. So I'm sticking with that for now. But even when we get into that quarterly imbalance, like it's gonna have to show some urgency to move higher. I'm not trying to catch a falling knife, right? You hear that said all the time, but like, what that means to me is like I'm not trying to front run a bounce from that point. Give me a daily imbalance. That to me is a little bit of confirmation that I can use, and at least establish like a setup or set a proper structure for the trade. So, anyways, all right. I think that's it for me tonight. So, we'll be back for live trading Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week. I may do one additional session on Friday and make that public. I'll do that one on X. I'm thinking about it. And then for group calls this week, we'll do. I can't do tomorrow night. Let's do Tuesday. Um, Possibly Wednesday. Definitely Thursday. All right. So that'll be the schedule for this week. So yeah, good luck this week. We'll talk soon. Oh, and Thursday. I actually don't want to live trade Thursday, so maybe I'll do Friday instead, because Thursday is the non-farm payroll eve. So maybe we'll do Thursday. That'll probably be better anyways. But all right. Anyways, guys, thanks for everybody who joined. Thanks to everybody who shared. Again, congratulations, Grayson and Seeker. We'll be in touch. Just got to get some shirt sizes, and I got to finish editing and making the new design. We'll come up with something good. But anyways, guys, I will catch everybody later. Good luck this week, and we will talk soon.